So to me, the second gen Tundra is still the best truck ever made from a half-ton perspective. And I use my truck quite a bit. I've documented that. I'm right at about 140,000 miles. I'm at 139,811 to be exact. And today I wanted to go through with you all the maintenance and wear items that I had to either have repaired or replaced so far. At 140,000 miles, 72,000 miles of that being towing a travel trailer back and forth across the country. Go ahead and give you what I consider excessive wear. I'm not going to go through all the fluid changes with you. First thing we'll talk about maintenance and wear is relative to the tires. Now I use Michelin Defender LTX MS's. These are in the stock 275/55 R20 configuration. This is the second pair that I've had on there. The first pair I put on, I purchased my vehicle February 28th, February 28th, 2018. And the first set of Bridgestone Duelers on there that were not very good had uneven wear, and I replaced those at 32,000 miles in October of 2019 with my first set of Michelins. They were $847 was the total price on those, and so went with those. They lasted about 66,000 miles for me. I ended up replacing them right at almost 98,000, 97 and change. And when the reason I did that, they still had some wear left, but the front passenger tire up there got a big gouge in it while we were traveling, and it just wasn't worth trying to get it repaired. I shot a video on that. These I've now had on here from about 98,000 to 140, so I'm sitting right at about 42,000 miles with them. I just had them rotated the other day, and in having them rotated, they told me there was still a little bit more than 50% life on these tires, so I'm really pleased with that. Those cost me, the last time I replaced them was late February 2022, and that was $1,031 then. So there's almost a $200 change pre-COVID to post-COVID. Okay, the next item here would be at 107,000 miles, which was a little bit early, but as much as I tow, I didn't want to run into any trouble. I did have all the plugs and wires replaced, along with a fuel system flush and cleaning. So that was all done at 107,000 miles, and I had no trouble with any sort of misfiring before that or since that. It's all been doing very, very well. That full system cleaning plus plugs and wires cost me $486. The next thing I would tell you about was that I had a full transmission fluid change and flush. That was done at 124,000 miles. Again, wasn't having any issues. That was right upon schedule. Went ahead and had that done, and that cost me $369, done at 124,000 miles. So that's it for the sort of maintenance and wear items. That total comes out to $2,732. At $2,732, roughly 2,000 of that being the tires. So I think that's pretty good considering the amount I tow and the number of miles I have on this vehicle over that amount of time. Now let's move into what I would call the repairs category. And ordinarily I would put brakes into the replacement of the brake pads into the wear category, but in my case it was a repair. Here's the reason why. Initially, at 97,000 miles, I still had good wear on I still had about probably 3 to 4 millimeters of depth on my brake pads, but I traveled a lot. It was a convenient time for me to change them out, and I went with some aftermarket brakes that were specifically for towing. My mechanic that does some of this stuff for me told me he advised against it and said I should continue to go stock because I've done so well. Well, I wanted to give them a try. I did. And on my next trip, 2 trips later, actually, after about 25,000 miles, they ended up tearing my rotors up. So I ended up having to have my rotors replaced as well. So initially, what was relatively inexpensive pad and inexpensive to put on became $950. The number, to be exact, was exactly $950 at 122,000 miles to have rotors and brakes done. The rotors themselves, that was $520. So if I just had the brakes done, it would have been roughly $430. The next repair, and I classify this as a repair because my stock battery only lasted 27 months. So it's been a little over 3.5 years, going on 4 years now, since I got this X2 power battery from Batteries Plus. It's been great. It's 24F. The stock size was 27F. The problem was my battery went so quick I had to have one, and I was going to have to order the 27F. They didn't have it in the store. And so I went with the 24F. It's been 3.5 years. I tow long distance. Haven't had an issue with this. Now, some people will say, hey, you should really put a battery charger on that since it's an AGM battery to fully charge it up because your alternator won't do it. I haven't found that to be a problem so far. Again, I'm 3.5 years into this battery. It had a 5-year warranty when I bought it. I think they come with 4 years now. If it makes it 5 years for me after the first one only made it for 27 months, I'll be pretty thrilled with that, especially since I live down here in the south where it gets really, really hot. That battery cost me $301. That includes tax. And let's move on to the next thing that I would classify as a repair, and that was the wheel lugs. Now, I have 140,000 miles on this vehicle. I get my tires rotated frequently, and a couple of my wheel lugs, when I went to change a flat, gave me a heck of a time, and it was because the edges on them were beginning to get rounded. So I purchased all new wheel lugs for it. So the 20 wheel lugs cost, and if anybody's wondering, they're M14 by 1.50 lugs. Anyway, I got all new stock size wheel lugs. That cost me $81 for that repair. My next repair here was this guy right here. This is the door check, and this piece right here had cracked. This little washer piece right here had cracked. Now some people say, oh, you just retighten the bolt. Well, the problem was retightening the bolt here wasn't going to help because it was the washer here that had cracked, and was every time you open and shut the door was giving it this popping sound. It was mostly just a nuisance and annoying, and but it was an easy fix, relatively speaking, to switch out, although I did have to take the door panel off. Shot a video on how to do that, but the part itself cost me 18 bucks to get. So it was a repair that was well worth the money and the time. Took me maybe an hour to do. So that's it. All those repair items were a total of $13.50, and of course that included $9.50 for the brakes and rotors that probably could have been several $100s less if I hadn't insisted on changing out my pads. I'll discuss that in another video about modifications and costs and was it worth it or wasn't it worth it. You can guess the answer to that one. But so total cost of the repairs, $13.50. Total cost of that maintenance, which included the 2 sets of tires and the transmission fluid exchange, as well as the tune, that was $27.32 plus the $13.50. So we're talking about $40.82. So $40.82 to do all that. Not such a terrible price. I hope this helps somebody out if they're thinking about looking at one of these used, because you can't get them new anymore. But if you want to know about long-term maintenance from somebody who uses it a lot, that's kind of where it's at least for me. Hope you found this useful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and a like. And please, if you've had some excessive maintenance and wear, share what you've had done. Share what yours is or isn't. I'd love to have everybody participate in this, and that's how we all learn a little more.